Okay, chapter 23, number 3. I'm just going to occasionally hold the paper up like this to discuss it. I've decided I think that's at least as clear as me trying to jot the graph down on the whiteboard. Here we go. Consider the diagram nearby. You all have it. Which applies to a perfectly competitive firm which at present faces a market clearing price of $20 per unit and produces 10,000 units of output per week. You know, I look ahead and they could have asked this as part of the question, because by looking at this, I could have told you how much the price is and how many they're producing. Because where will the profit maximizing firm produce? Right, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. They do tease that out of us later, but they could have made this a little bit more robust. So then the first part, A, what is the firm's current average revenue per unit? Average revenue per unit. Well, if you got a feel for what average total cost was, average revenue probably isn't feeling that difficult. So your average revenue must be equal to your total revenue divided by the quantity. So average revenue, how much you're getting per unit on average, is almost is not very useful. It doesn't help us make decisions, but it's equal to total revenue over the quantity, right? And total revenue we can figure out because we were told they're making 10,000 units per week. Quantity is equal to 10,000 units in the time period, and the price was $20. So therefore, total revenue, which is always price times quantity, right, is going to be a 2 and now 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So if my arithmetic is correct, total revenue is $200,000. But my average revenue is what I was asked for. Well, I'm going to divide by Q, but hopefully you're already seeing where this is going to go. If I take this right here, and I divide by Q, well, now I'm just dividing by, oh, no, wrong number. Might as well be. I'm just dividing by something I just multiplied by. So my average revenue, I don't want to do that there, average revenue is equal to what? 20. So I guess this is another way to express that I'm making $20 per unit, I'm making $20 per unit, I'm making $20 per unit, because I'm a price taker. I can't influence price. B, what is the present economic profits of this firm? Let me put this down and get back to the paper for that. Where are they going to produce again? Or marginal revenue equals marginal cost. If their profit, okay. If they're profit maximizing. So they're going to produce the 10,000 units times 20. Total revenue would be 200,000. We just explored that. Now, can I see how they're doing or what their total cost will be? I think so, because average total cost is my cost per unit. They're producing at an intersection way up here, and their cost per unit is here. So the question was the economic profits of the firm. Well, the total revenue we just got, 200,000. Total cost is outlined there. It's that green dot that goes back to 1575. 1575 is the cost per unit or average total cost for producing the 10 units or 10,000 units. And so 10,000 times 1575 is 157.5, right? So what am I asked for? Economic profits of this firm. So that would be the 200,000 minus 157,500. And so that would be 100, I'm sorry, that would be I didn't answer it this way. I'll go back to that. That would be $43,000 economic profit. Or we could also, and I think this is more typically the case, we could think about the profit per unit. Since average total cost, did I say 43,000? I meant 42,000. If I'm making on each unit $20 and I'm spending on each unit $15.75, that means that I'm making on each unit $4.25 times 10,000 units, which is also $42,500. So there are two ways to go about it. We could calculate the big rectangle, which is how we did it the first time. 20,000 times the 10,000 is 200,000, minus the small rectangle, 15.75 times 10,000, 157.5. The difference between them is this sliver, and that area of that rectangle would have been 42,500. That isn't the way I did it. I thought of it as on a per unit basis. I just find that easier. You're making $20 a unit. It's costing you $15.75 a unit, and they're 10,000 units. So the gap between those, 20 minus $15.75 times the number of units, is the whole gap that is economic profit. If you look back at those videos, that gap would be economic profit. So how's this firm doing? They're doing very well. This person is making $42,500 a year or a time period more than he or she otherwise would be making. Let's see where that lands them. If the market clearing price drops to $12.50, why would the market clearing price drop? Because other people would see this economic profit and they would enter this market because it's an easy entrance, easy exit kind of thing. And they have similar skill sets. And so if it drops to $12.50, well, let me finish reading the question, make sure I answer everything okay. Should this firm continue to produce in the short run if it wishes to maximize its economic profit or minimize its economic losses? So sometimes what we're doing is loss minimization. Sometimes that's what we have to do. There's a lot of that going on right now with the shutdown for coronavirus, loss minimization. What can I do just to hang in there? So average total cost is cost per unit. That's the black parabola, right? The new intersection of marginal revenue and marginal cost at $12.50 is here. That green dot, the third green dot going up, is where they intersect. It is below average total cost, or cost per unit. How are they doing? They're doing badly. They will produce at what would be a blue line. The author doesn't draw one, but what would be a blue line right along there would be the new marginal cost or marginal revenue curve, because that's the new price. So that green dot is where they would produce. And we could go and figure out how much the total revenue would be minus the total cost, but we're not asked for that level of detail. We're not asked for how much the economic loss is, but because it's below average total cost, they would be operating at a loss. Should they operate at a loss? The answer is yes, they should. Because while they're not able to pay necessarily all their bills or what they could otherwise be making, they're not able to get that return, they're still able to pay their variable costs. They're still getting some money toward their monthly bills and or getting some money toward what they could otherwise be making at their next best opportunity. So they should continue to produce in the short run, and the hope would be that other people will stop producing, or maybe that costs will come down. Now, if the market, this is D, if the market clearing price drops to $7.50 per unit, should the firm continue to produce in the short run if it wishes to minimize its economic profits, maximize its economic profits, or minimize its economic losses? Well, $7.50 is down here. That is below average variable cost. This right above that quantity 5 would be, it looks to be about like $11. So your inputs, your raw materials, or your labor costs to produce these 5 units is $11 a unit, but you're only getting $7.50 a unit. You're not even paying for the inputs to make those 5 units. So you would shut down. You would not make um, below average variable costs, which I think I'll use this as an opportunity. It's not part of this question, but it's adequate. That means the various quantities that this firm would produce at various quantities. If we thought about the blue marginal revenue curve, where it would move and where the firm would produce, everywhere above average variable costs are the various quantities that this firm would produce in the short run, right? So various quantities that a firm would produce at various prices. What does that sound like? That was our definition of supply. So the firm's supply curve is its marginal cost curve above this average variable cost intersection right there. Which, if you remember back to when we did supply and demand, this is a big reveal. We have price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis, which seems switched algebraically because control variables are supposed to go on the horizontal axis and the dependent variables are supposed to go on the vertical axis. But we have them switched, or so we thought. But here, since the marginal cost curve represents these various quantities that the firm would produce at various prices, and as the quantity rises, the price would be rising, what we have now, and the costs are a function of quantity, we now have our price as a function of cost, a function of quantity, because it's movement along here as a response to our costs. So that's how we get price on the vertical axis of the supply and demand framework, because it actually depends on the various quantities, because the quantities are driving the marginal costs and the average total costs. So there it is. We finally got to it. And that's the answer to A through D and a whole lot more.